meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think we have enough people for voting. We'll do adoption of the minutes for the last meeting.
I make a motion.
Say again?
I think she said she didn't have them ready.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, she's gonna email.
Oh, that's
sorry
right.
about that.
It's the agenda.
Well, I guess that shows how much I paid for it, you know? So I guess we'll skip up past that until the next meeting. Next order is public hearing. There is none. No old business. And new business, site plan review application, Barrel Law, construction of new wireless telecommunications facility on 140 Business Court, tax map 27, lot 79003. Do we want to have a little bit of presentation on what we're looking at first, I guess?
Sure, that would be great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Anderson. I do local permitting for Verizon Wireless in Maine. Somewhere on the interweb is Chuck Brunemesso, who is a gentleman that I work with. Chuck is responsible for going out and identifying potential sites for new towers. And when he identifies someone who's willing to host a new tower, they work on kind of the siting and where is it going to go and how are you going to get access in a way that kind of allows the existing property to keep being used as much as possible and allows Chuck to identify a location that will work for the Verizon network. So the site that we picked here at 140 Business Court is a great location for a new tower. It's a relatively low tower. It's about 105 feet. And the heights of towers have changed over the time. There were 10 years ago we were looking for a 190-foot tower everywhere we could get them because it was just below the threshold for having to light it for the FAA for air traffic. But now towers are coming in all different sizes. We do them from 190 all the way down to 100 feet at 105. This is one of the shorter ones. And the goal of any new site is to improve the coverage in a way that you just start to bump up and connect with where the network is already working properly. So you don't want a tower that's too tall that overlaps with some of your existing towers, because then when people are in those overlap areas, their phones can't figure out which tower to go to, and we run out of battery and drives us all crazy. So the idea behind new sites is to pick a height that will kind of complement the existing network that's in place. So this site at 105 feet is kind of the sweet spot and the height that we need to connect with existing coverage within the area. Again, it's a relatively low impact site. The tower will not be lit. All of the equipment are now in these cabinets that are installed within the fence compound. We used to bring in these big equipment trailers that were mounted on slabs, and because it was an interior space, they had to be heated and cooled with HVAC equipment that made lots of noise, especially during the summer. But now they boil it down to these radio cabinets, so we don't have there's a fan that keeps it cool, but there's no air conditioning condenser. There's also no backup generator at this site. There is a battery that lasts for 6 hours when there's a power outage. So there'll be no light, there will be no sound associated with the project that you can hear at the property boundary. And after construction, the site is visited about once a month by a Verizon Wireless technician, sometimes less if everything is working fine. But there's really no traffic, no trash is generated. We don't need water, we don't need wastewater, no impact on municipal services, so it's a pretty quiet, self-sufficient site that once you put it up, just kind of is up and running. and goes. I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the project, and would love your support.
So you said that the antennas are shorter now, and they still bring in as the reception. What's different about them that they can do that?
So the towers are lower, and what's different is that there's already coverage coming from other places. If this was the very first tower in Pittsfield, we'd be coming in with, like a 190 to try to get kind of the maximum coverage. But also, in addition to that, people use their phones more for data now than they do for telephone calls, and the data requires a stronger signal, but the antennas need to be a little bit closer to the ground. The days of the old US cell towers were those guide towers that the antennas like 400 feet in the air. That works great for like WBZ out of Boston, where you can get it. But for the type of signal that most cell phones use, in order to carry the data, it's getting them closer to the ground and getting them working in conjunction with what we have out there already. So that's how we set the height. And the access is going to be via a relatively short 12-foot gravel driveway. There's no significant change in stormwater because the fenced area is all crushed stone. So very little change in stormwater runoff. This site is so small it didn't even come close to requiring a DEP stormwater permit. So again, pretty much a quiet, no noise, no light site, no traffic, just hopefully better cell phone coverage.
When are you looking about starting construction right off?
So after any planning board approval, it goes out to bid, and there's a list of kind of approved contractors. Normally that takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Depending on winter, they might be able to start, depending on the weather right away, or it might get pushed off to like March. But normally the sites are constructed within about 6 to 8 months of having gone through permit.
Who owns the property there?
So this is Innovative Specialties is the property owner. I'm just looking, we have a memorandum of lease in the back. Yeah, so it's Innovative Specialties LLC is the property owner for the parcel that.
Do they own the parcel beside it?
I believe so. And I think they've maintained them as 2 separate lots. And we did our setbacks from the intermediate property line, just assuming that's the smallest, the smallest piece of area. And I think we're about 156 or 158 feet away from the closest property line. I think Chad Dow is the owner of the LLC.
And he is on the call if anyone wants to. He's on the Zoom as well.
So see the list of abutters, they've already been notified.
I believe so. I think that went through the code office.
Yeah, we could just.
Right.
Should brought my glasses.
I might have a pair you can borrow. I don't know if you remember.
Like, look slowly, I can make it up. No other questions for anybody?
There are no abutters on the Zoom call?
I'm not sure who's.
Several people on, I'm not sure if anyone's here or not. Possibly.
Well, this is a public hearing, anyway. This isn't a public hearing. either.
No, this isn't a public hearing. We decide tonight if we're gonna, if it warrants a public hearing. Joel, as far as you know, there was nothing sent to the town, and as far as,
No, nothing I've heard, unless, yeah, I haven't received it. As far as I know, there's no other correspondence being sent in about it.
alright. I guess we can work our way through the site plan application.
We tried to break it out with the different tabs for the different submission requirements. And then the later ones walk through the different performance standards. And I think it is C and D, tab C and D, that walk through the submission requirements from the different sections of the ordinance.
So like we normally do, we'll determine at the end of the discussion if we're gonna do a planning, if we're gonna have a public hearing.
Okay.
And I guess we'll do the same thing on site inspection.
Okay.
So, discussion. Okay, so I guess, on seven point two G, planning board shall take final action on said application within 40 days, placing an item on agenda for substantive review. The board shall act to deny or to approve the application with conditions. The board may impose such conditions that are deemed viable to assure compliance with the standards of approval. In issuing the decision, the planning board shall make written findings of fact establishing the proposed development does or does not meet standards of approval and other requirements of the town. The board shall notify the applicant of all officials who receive notice under E, all parties who requested to be notified, action of the board, including findings of fact and any conditions of approval. This requirement can be met through the distribution of minutes of the meeting containing the finding facts and decision of the board. All time limits provided for this section may be extended by mutual agreement of the application and planning board.
Tom, which tab are you under?
Oh, so that was 7.2, letter G. The last paragraph before 7.3. Pages aren't numbered, but.
You might have been
Finding
in the
of
wrong
fact.
place.
Yeah, so it was at the top of the third, fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have submission requirements that we request waivers from, but I don't believe we had any of those in this application. And so I think we've given you everything responsive to the application requirements. Appreciate you've got to go through and review the standards later on.
So it says the planning board needs to act on this requirement. This document shall detail the findings of fact. Is there any discussion on that? Do we have a motion? Accept that? Not?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second? Colin, second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
Well, are you gonna do this where you're gonna have a motion on every one of them? or-
Not everyone, basically the ones that we need to look at.
So you just don't wanna do one motion at the end?
Well, I guess we can, unless there's discussion, more discussion on it.
Well, I know you're running the show. and
Well.
I have my opportunity.
I'm not-
Yes.
I'll gladly pass it to you if you want.
No, I don't wanna do that. Okay, all right.
So basically it was
Everyone that says we should do something.
G.
7.2G.
And that might be the
Should be
one
next
where,
page. On the top right there.
Yeah.
is that the one about the findings of fact?
Yeah.
That might be the one that just kind of instructs you as to what you have to do at the end about issuing a written decision. I think that, at least we tried to break out in C and D in the application, the submission requirements to make sure that you could evaluate whether the application was complete. And I think those are sections 8 and 9. But there may be other things that you normally go through as well in addition to those.
7.4.1 application fee says the fee was received. And the board needs to decide if we need to determine if a technical fee is required.
Say no.
I agree. No.
So we'll pass on that. There's no technical fee required. Signed application form was received. And here it says, under section 8, C, 12 copies of materials were delivered.
Yes.
Under 8.1H, says incomplete plans were prepared by Tectonic, but no name, registration number, or seal.
Yeah, did the full-size plans have the seal of the engineer?
That's right, we don't. We have the unstamped ones, but I can provide you with the stamped ones. That's just an oversight, my apologies, but I believe we have stamped plans.
As long as those are the ones that get signed eventually, that's.
Okay.
Right, that's usually what
Yeah.
we'll sign.
Okay, we make sure I have those for the next meeting.
Okay. On 8.1I, section C, page 2, the board may require financial statements of evidence rather than just a narrative.
It's the same kind of thing where the ordinance says that you technically have to have evidence of the financial capacity, and there's a statement from the developer saying which is, it's not technically evidence, but obviously it's a large company.
Right.
So.
We could also give you like the most recent SEC last quarter.
Yeah. I think most of us are okay with it.
We're okay. I'm okay with it.
Okay, good.
Uh, 8.2H, plans, planning board needs to decide if there are sufficient plans or need more documentation from DEP. You said at this point DEP isn't going to be involved?
No, but I see the one thing that we have confirmed is that there are no wetlands or other kind of water bodies on site.
Right.
I can go through the beginning with habitat maps, which would identify deer wintering areas, which we don't believe are there, but I could get the board that breakdown for the town of Pittsfield that would show that this site doesn't have
Yeah.
mapped habitat.
A number of people on the board have seen those maps
Okay.
from past projects, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing in that area to tell.
Okay.
This parcel is part of the industrial park.
Yes,
correct?
it's where the new road is, basically right next to where they built the trailers,
Yep.
so.
But I can go online and download the habitat maps and show.
I could check now on my computer, and I don't think there is anything.
Yeah, no, I think I remember seeing them, there wasn't anything that close to town.
There's no significant wetland.
No,
Yeah, it's
deer have, deer having areas.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
the planning board considers the information sufficient?
yeah,
We're gonna go.
yeah, we'll go, any more discussion on that? Yeah, we'll pass on that. 8.3C, no waste produced, construction waste will be removed. On D, no cross-section or details of driveway construction included.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that usually there will be at least some detail of how they're going to construct the
Right.
temporary driveway. Well, it's not temporary driveway, the access driveway. Unless I missed it.
Probably did not, I'm just going to double check. You're right, we've got the details on the array installation, but not on the cross-section site. I'm sure those are in this draft construction drawing, so I can get a cross-section of the driveway for the board.
Proposed landscaping and buffering, none on the proposal.
It's gonna be all existing trees anyway.
I think that area there isn't much for trees right there anyways, on that lot.
Not to the kind of north, but we're not going to clear the trees that are between the existing driveway and the structures that are up to the north. So we'll just be clearing the area for the road. So there will be some vegetation that surrounds the site after it's been constructed.
I mean, it's a 100-foot tower, so you're still going to see it anyway.
Right.
Going back to the cross section there, doesn't it say on there that it's gonna be a 12-foot wide gravel,
Yeah.
full 12-foot wide gravel access driveway?
Yeah, probably for the depth mark.
Oh, you want?
I mean, it's just a standard detail.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And we should have that in the system. It just wasn't included in this plan set, but it'll show the shoulders and the width and all of that. We certainly can provide that to the board.
On G, for signs, no signs proposed, there's probably normal safety signs for keep out and
Yeah.
danger. and-
Keep out on the fence, but no Verizon wireless, there's no signage on the site.
General description of proposed use or activity. Everybody pretty much knows what we're talking about.
Sufficient.
Peak hour, daily traffic, as you said.
One a month.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Is it on technically a town road now?
that's the new town. That's the Obama Street.
Yeah. But I mean, technically, it will need a driveway entrance permit from.
It's down the road, it does.
Right.
Yeah, you need an entrance for
Yeah, which we often get. Usually that, we pull those when we do the building permit, but yeah, we'll definitely make sure we get that.
No DEP permit required because of the size. And 9.1 utilization of the site. We find information adequate.
Yes.
Adequacy of road system, 9.2. Basically just one small driveway going in. I don't think we need a financial guarantee. Any discussion on that?
Nope, not for me.
So I'll have to double my pay next time. No traffic changes, yeah, and entrance permit would be needed. on that road. All the access way meeting all the standards. Everybody think that's adequate? Internal vehicular circulation, which doesn't sound like after construction will be any.
Won't be, there'll be a small turnaround,
Right.
just, for folks that come in and out, but
They'll probably have a wintertime, have someone on the contract to plow the driveway.
Yes, yeah, they work with vendors at multiple sites, so.
9.8 stormwater management. No DEP permit required because of the size of the project. So the information adequate. 9.9 erosion control applicants, state specimen practices, latest condition will be followed during the construction, earth moving. Utilities. Are there, all the power out there is underground, or is that?
Yes, it'll come off the pole down by the road, but then it runs underground to the top.
Okay, I couldn't remember if everything was underground, or, I think, no, I think the new road was all above ground out there.
Yeah, I think we're pulling it off a pole out on the road and then it drops down under.
There you go, man.
Setting the pole on your site and then going underground.
Exactly.
Which is ready.
Information adequate for everybody? Natural features? Nothing. Groundwater protection, no subsurface water disposal system provided or needed. No storage of materials of concern. Back to technical financial capacity, we went over that. 919, waste produced long term, construction waste removed. Last one, 10.4.2, form of guarantee. Anybody have any discussion on bonds or anything? Not needed? Okay. So we'll go back to the beginning.
The only things we need to consider is we do have a special section in the site plan review ordinance for communication towers. So I don't know if we need to consider. I think the most important thing there is just that freestanding communication towers shall be set back a horizontal distance equivalent to 150% of the structure height from property boundaries, public and private rights of way, and overhead utility lines that are not part of the facility. You know, in case it falls over.
That isn't in here, so they want, basically, they wanted 150% of the height.
Yeah, this is in the site plan review ordinance, which we're reviewing it under, so.
So what does that mean, 150 feet? Yeah, so basically the tower is 150 feet from
It says from the property boundaries or public or private rights of way. I guess.
So we've got to,
Yeah.
What are you reading?
He's reading it.
It's an ordinance.
It's well, I don't know if it's site plan or land use ordinance, but it's 1351, the town chart, the overall document.
And then on plan SB1, it shows that the closest property boundaries, both the one to the north and the one that abuts the public right of way. And so the tower is 158 feet, which is exactly 150% of the 105. So that last tweaking, it could have been a 110-foot tower maybe, but it came down to 105, so we could comply with that setback.
Yeah, looks like it all lines up pretty good.
And we put it right in the middle. So it would be exactly 158 from both property lines.
And that's from the guy that owns the property.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody understands what we're talking about? So basically, if it falls over,
The falls out.
you won't fall on anybody else there.
That's right. We say they don't tip over like bowling pins, but at 150%, they definitely don't tip over and bounce, so
Right.
we'll be good.
And if that gets tipped over by something, there's gonna be a lot of problems every year.
That's right.
It's technically in the zoning ordinance, that section.
Okay. So we'll go back to the beginning, and do we, anybody here think we need a site inspection? No?
I don't think
No?
so.
Okay, so everybody's fine with that. And as far as the public hearing,
What was that? I'm on, go ahead.
As long as they've been notified and nobody's
nobody's
brought any
here.
Yeah, the
concern.
butters have all been.
Right. And it's really not something outrageous, at least for the,
Well,
You said there's no noise associated with this.
There's no noise, there's no light, no traffic. It's pretty quiet, once it gets, once the construction's done and it's up and running, it just sits there.
so did you guys have a public, for that, I keep referring to the second time in the meeting, I referred to that solar farm for timber all day. Did you remember, did you have a public hearing for that?
no.
No?
For that one.
That was the one you're.
We had a DEP public hearing for the Snake Group one, but not
Not that one, Ed?
Not that one.
Yeah, I'm okay with not having a public hearing.
Is there any other discussion we need to do?
I assume nobody on the Zoom call has got any questions? I mean, that's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
Anyone on Zoom have anything to add? Continue. See a few faces.
Nobody's.
Guess not.
Finger.
Okay.
So I guess we can look for an approval. I guess we'll have to do an approval pending the final, little things, the driveway
Mhm.
permit and,
Stamped
the two-
plans.
the standard plan.
And with a cross section.
Yes, with the cross section for the driveway.
So I guess we can give an approval pending
Conditions of
conditions
approval.
of approval. Would somebody like to make a motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion that we grant a conditional approval based on his qualifications.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussions? All in favor? Aye. Passes.
All right, thank you very much. I'll get you the stamped plans and the cross section of the driveway, get those to the code officer, and very much appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You probably, what, we have to do we have to sign something?
Well, he doesn't have the papers here, so he'll have to
Okay.
get them.
We'll have to do that signature block on it.
Yep, we'll make sure the signature block is on, but that you get stamped plan. Do you want a full-size set for signing, or is the 11 by 17 okay?
Full size set, yeah.
Okay.
I think we need at least two, one for you guys to have and one
Okay.
for us to record it. So at
Okay,
least
great.
two full size copies.
Okay, great. And then so if it's for recording, I'll make sure you have a Mylar for the signatures for
I
the.
don't even think they require a mile
Okay.
anymore. I think
They don't?
that's
Okay.
change that, yeah.
All right, I'll double check.
Isn't it 11 by 17?
No, it's usually at least, 24 by 36.
I thought it was-
We've done some smaller ones, so.
Oh, you can do
Seems
it?
like I remember the smaller ones.
Yeah.
So what I remember is they'll do a legal size, but not an 11 by 17. They'll either do the 24 by 36 or they'll do an 8.5 by 14.
Oh, that's what it was? Okay, all right.
All right,
Maybe you should just call Catherine.
That's what we're gonna do. I'll nail that down, and then we'll make sure we get to the right one, but I'll probably bring the full size, just for folks' records, so that we've got the full size.
And she'll inform us to come in to sign the,
Okay.
sign the paper.
Okay, great. All right, Thank you all very much. All right, take care.
So we'll see him power up, what, by June next year?
You better be there. It's like time for barbecues and all that good stuff.
Oh, all right, that's even the bonus there, huh? Okay.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Yeah, not on camera. And next part of new business, application for modification of plan notes for a parcel on Sibley Pond Road, tax map 17004B. Is that you, Fred?
Temporarily remove this since I'm quite a distance from you and you all seem to be laminated on plastic. As most of you know, my name is Alfred Backrack. I'm one of the last two remaining attorneys still in Pittsfield. Six when I started out, and down to two of us now. And ironically, the only planning board member I talked to about this and asked him what to do was Royce Bizzato, who of course is the one that isn't here tonight. And also, ironically, even though it's labeled new business, everything that's relevant happened anywhere between 20 and 40 years ago on this particular thing. So it's really ancient history before my time, before your time, before the current code enforcement officer's time. And I believe on Zoom you may have Karen Thomas and her husband who are in Vermont, the nicest people going, and they are the owners of this property. Now, basically what I understand happened is this was a Peter Brower subdivision on the Sibley Pond Road and Crocodile Road, up fairly high, close to the Hudson line. This is not one of the spaghetti lots on the right-hand side of the road. These are good-sized lots. And originally, this lot, when it was approved by the planning board in 1979, I believe, more than 40 years ago, was 11 acres in size. It was approved with no restrictions of any sort at all. Some 20 years later, in approximately 1989, 1990, Mr. Brower apparently came in and asked for permission to divide this lot in half, which I wish he hadn't asked for permission. I wish he'd just done it, because I think he could have done it without asking. But he divided into two lots, 5.5 acres each. And at that time, for some reason on the plan that approved the split of those lots, a restriction was placed on it which said that it couldn't be used for residential development because it would not pass a subsurface waste disposal test. I don't know where that information came from more than 30 years ago, but apparently it was wrong. My clients purchased this property from Mr. Brower approximately 12 years ago under an installment sales contract. That's why the deed is only dated in 90, because they were paying off on this contract. They subsequently applied for and got permits for a post and beam cabin on the property, which they built with approval from the town code enforcement officer. They got approval for a privy attached to this post and beam cabin, and they had plans to construct a complete home with a subsurface waste disposal system, and they contacted a soils evaluator, Kareem Mack, who's well known, who did a soils analysis and approved it with no special conditions. Nobody raised an issue of any problems at the time, and submitted the soils evaluation for a plumbing permit, which was approved by the town earlier this year. I think Al Tempesta signed it. So Steve Seekins probably did the cabin, the privy, and Al Tempesta did the septic system design approval, and everything was all set to go when the Thomases had a change in family plans and had to decide that they couldn't build here and meet their family plans, so they put it on the market, whereupon they found a buyer, and at that time this problem was discovered with the restriction that was placed on the plan. So that's why we're here, is have this restriction removed. based on it, doesn't seem to be any purpose for it or any need for it, because even if it hadn't been already permitted by the town and approved by the code enforcement officer, it certainly doesn't appear to be a necessary condition or restriction, because there is no problem with the lot in that regard. And at first, the parties involved thought that they could resolve this. The code enforcement officer was willing to write a statement approving it, and that we could record that statement in the registry. But of course, you know, underwriters and title insurance companies, they of course told us if the planning board put the restriction on, then the planning board has to take the restriction off. So that's why I'm here in front of you people on what I think is more or less a housekeeping matter. And I'm requesting that you issue me something, sort of a decision which I can record in the registry of deeds to show that that restriction no longer applies to that lot based on the soils evaluations that clearly show it's buildable lot.
Did you do any research on the minutes of that meeting that thing took place or anything?
I did not. It's always hard for me to get into the town office, and I've been way behind in my work as general, so I really didn't.
I'm just curious.
That. 30 years plus, I don't know. I know Kathy has an archive of stuff in the basement here somewhere, but every time that I've been involved with roads or easements, or I did some research on the sewer system and stuff like that, it required a lot of research by the town office to even locate stuff. I think Emily Reed, who's no longer here, did a lot of that research for me. So I'm afraid I did not.
I'm just curious because if it passes soil test for modern day septic systems and it would just arbitrarily put on there, you know, condition put on there back then, it doesn't make too much sense to me.
The only possible reason, I think I discussed this with Bob Gagan, who's currently studying all this stuff firsthand, so he may have some more, is that apparently he told me, because I said they must have changed the regs on what type of septic system, and he told me that there were some changes in how close the groundwater could be to the surface, and it went from what, 12 inches to 9 inches. So I don't know whether that may have been the cause of it, the changes in the state regulations.
Well, really what you want to do is, we're just going to move forward here, is what the intent is, so we have an improved septic system design.
Yes, right. Approved in April of this year by Al Tempesta.
But what I heard you, I think I heard you say is that the statement that was discovered is on a boundary plan?
There was, I think I included it, and I gave it to the town officer, there was, when this lot was divided, at that time they took a perfectly good 11-acre lot, a perfectly good 11-acre lot, divided it, no restrictions on the 11-acre lot, nothing on the 1979 plan. But when they split this lot suddenly in 1990, they suddenly put on that plan that half of it couldn't be built on. So I don't know whether at the time one half of the lot was better than the other or whatever, or they changed the standards for constructing subsurface sewage disposal systems.
So they said that by splitting a lot, one half was okay, one half wasn't.
That's what they just seemed to do.
So there must have been, when it was originally designed as a lot and submitted to deed, there must have been a soils test done for one septic field on that lot somewhere. But it's on the lot they don't have, but it doesn't happen. Joe, what do we need to do to change that? I mean,
Well, what I was getting at was just that, so the new property owner is going to own this lot, but it's not going to be, there's two different owners on these lots, right?
Well, the other half, somebody else bought the 5.5, other half. I don't know who it was.
So if someone did another boundary survey with this is it right here, this is what you
Well, that was the split, that was the lot split. And I also, when you look at, I think, provided a copy of the tax maps. It looks like the 5.5 acres went on somebody's adjacent land, because the lot that's right next to it appears to be really.
I guess all I'm getting at is, what's the plan that had that restriction?
You're looking at it.
This right here?
Well, there was no plan originally, it just when they split the lot, they put a restriction on it.
Was it a sub-
Okay.
was it
Oh,
a
I thought you
subdivision?
said there was a plan that had the restriction stated on it.
Yes, right here.
Was it technically a subdivision plan? Had this
Oh, it is
restriction
that.
placed on it?
Well, you only get into subdivision when you
Yeah.
go more than, three pieces or more.
This is
But that 11-acre lot, that part of the
You
subdivision.
see it?
Oh, I see, okay, so that is the one.
That is the one.
That's the one that-
And if you
okay.
look
It's not a
at,
subdivision plan, the planning board can just vote to amend an existing plan.
if you look at this plan, it says that it is a revision of a 1977 plan with more lots on it. And it revises that by taking one of the lots, it's lot 3, and dividing it into 3A and 3B.
So the reason you're here is because of the title research that took place,
Yes,
and for them to have a clean title,
right.
they need to have a plan that represents this site that does not have a note on that.
Well, I don't think they need another plan. They
You don't
need to
think,
have-
a statement is gonna
I
be
think a
enough?
statement by the plan, they said, from a title standpoint, what I believe is sufficient for title, and what somebody else feels is sufficient is a matter of opinion. But the gold standard in this is the title insurance companies. What they will give title insurance on, they make the rules, and the underwriters go by them. So what they said we need is we need some statement by the planning board that removes this restriction.
So you really feel, you feel that in your experience, that would be enough to go back, and you won't be back in a month?
I will
So
not-
what I was getting at was having a new parcel or plan developed that just represents that one plan.
I'm not very good at drawing plans. I guess I could hire someone to do a.
If there's an existing plan on record that was originally approved by some previous board, then the planning board can vote to amend an existing plan that the planning board previously agreed on.
Do we need to amend the existing plan or just approve a septic system?
There's something,
So you need to
something there's
approve
no
the
one,
septic.
Well,
you
the
can
code
remove that provision
enforcement
from the
officer
existing plan.
already approved the septic system.
Okay.
But the title insurance company underwriters say that even though the septic system was approved and is legal on the lot, and you can build it on the lot, that they don't want to insure title unless this restriction is removed by a statement from the planning board.
Well, all I was thinking was that what is actually happening out there with owners is not gonna be reflected on this plan now, because what I'm hearing is two separate owners. So this plan.
We're only associated with one of those parcels, the other one doesn't make any difference to us.
I guess all I was thinking through is that if you amend this plan, is that going to be enough when this plan, what really is out there, if someone did some research, in the sense of the names and everything is there, that this plan isn't a subdivision.
We are going to put on the deed, obviously, when we convey this property again on 3B, that a statement to the effect that the planning board remove this restriction on the lot by statement dated such and such and recorded in book and page so and so, and you will never see me again or anybody else on this issue. I mean, it's going to be. We've tried to do it with the code enforcement officer giving us a statement. The code enforcement officer was willing to give us a statement, but they said, no, we don't want a statement from the code enforcement officer because the code enforcement officer didn't put the restriction on. the planning board put the restriction on it. And since the planning board put the restriction on it, we want the planning board to remove it, and then we'll approve the title. So it will solve the problem once and for all.
So, I mean, everything has been done,
Right.
the system has been approved and everything.
Right.
By qualified people.
Absolutely.
So, this is semantics, really, just.
I call
clearing
it
out-
housekeeping, but
Right.
Yeah,
yes,
housekeeping.
So if, you know, if everybody's in agreement that this looks, you know, what we're talking about looks fine, I guess I would take a motion to amend the wording on the,
to amend the plan that's recorded, this one, by removing
by removing,
the restriction on residential development and removing the restriction stating that it does not support a subsurface waste disposal system. That's what,
I'll make a motion that we remove that statement that was put on there by a previous planning board, because the evidence supports that that land is fine.
we have a second.
But is that enough of a motion?
that's enough of a motion.
It is, okay.
We have a second. We have a second. Any more discussion?
Yes, once again, to remove the restriction that says that the lot will not support a subsurface waste disposal system.
Exactly.
And remove any restriction on the residential development,
Right.
as set forth.
And remove the restriction on any residential development.
Are you okay with that wording, Joel?
Well, I just want to make sure this gets done properly, because there is a procedure for revisions to approved plans. If we're talking, if this is classified as a subdivision. Which looks like we're pretty much followed it okay so far. Yeah, excuse me.
The only restriction is the note, right?
Yeah, well,
Or you just check it off?
they do it in two places. They do the note, and then in the paragraph here, they say it again, you know, the
Right.
written paragraph.
Yeah, but you said remove any restrictions on residential construction. I don't think that should be in there. But there are restrictions on construction.
Right. Remove,
The only restriction is right now, the
That
bill,
particular
to
restriction.
remove that septic.
Right,
That note.
remove any restriction on residential development based on
That note.
that note.
based on that note.
Yeah.
Because if we said remove any,
You can do whatever you want.
yeah, you can build right next to
I'm
the
not,
property
I'm not
line.
gonna put a skyscraper or anything.
So,
No.
Obviously, we just wanna remove any restriction relating to what we've provided evidence for.
But I guess if we're in agreement, you could go over with Joel, the wording that is needed. I think we're all in agreement. Do I hear a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, passes.
So you'll need a statement from us.
Right, and the only thing is that, you know, because they do have a sale pending, I don't know whether you have to get your minutes approved at the next meeting to get anything done, but I would like to try to get something done sooner rather than later. I don't know when we
So
can.
does this go back to Bob? Bob?
There needs to be a new copy of that plan with whatever that condition is struck out or removed, and then it's just re-registered with the
Well, I
registry of deeds.
I'm not sure we need to have to redo the plan. I think we could just have a statement removing.
Well, I mean, you
the
can literally just strike that language that's on the plan, and then just wipe it out or something, and then just resubmit it.
Yeah, but I don't have a Mylar or anything like that. I could attach a copy of this to the statement you would write.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. And then we just reference the original book and page that was recorded in.
Okay.
That's just the admin of it.
Okay, so the planning board will give me a statement removing the restriction against subsurface waste disposal system being installed as noted on the attached plan, and then we could record that.
Tonight.
Is that what's gotta happen? It's gotta be recorded?
Well, I've got to record something in the registry.
Right.
Is it by?
And that vote should act as that,
Right.
that note. So I mean, you say if you have to approve the minutes, that's one thing.
Well, the only thing is, do I have to wait another month to get the minutes approved, or can I get it earlier? That's what
I guess it's,
Well, we haven't got the minutes from last month.
Yeah, that's what worries me a little bit.
Normally,
In all
I would
fairness,
say,
okay?
Bob, can you help him out with that and talk with the Catherine and seeing about how that
Get the
process will be
minutes,
developed
yeah.
up in the administration part of it?
Put the pace, yeah, yes.
I guess I would let you initiate that with the administration.
I mean, since there's no real difference of opinion, I just would like to get something
Right.
recorded as soon as possible so we can move forward and
Move on to your next task.
Right.
Now, are you going to need that document signed by all of us?
no.
No.
All he needs is a statement showing that it's been approved and
And
recorded.
it'll be in our minutes.
Uh,
So I guess I would suggest initiating it with Catherine or.
It used to be all sorts of, when you, I don't know, it's been a while since I've been in front of the planning board, but in the old days, when you did variances and stuff like that, conditional use permits, you used to send people something and say, get this recorded in 30 days or something. Don't you do conditional use permits and variances and stuff like that?
We haven't done many of them for quite a long time, that I can remember. Yeah, most
And
of
it's all handled at the,
I mean, I got one when I was in my office because it was used as a secondhand junk
Right.
shop by Lloyd Elias, and I got a change of use to a law office. And I had to go to the planning board and get a conditional use permit.
Well, that's what no one did before.
No, you know, most of what we did was just like we did earlier, you know, new projects like that, basically.
Right. That's the difference. This is ancient history. you know.
Right.
And, well,
I think you gotta follow up with the administration.
I will follow up with Catherine, but you will take it a vote, or hopefully will.
She'll
Well,
have the
yeah,
information.
so we've done the vote, so it's all approved as far as we're concerned. Now, basically, it goes upstairs
All right.
for the paperwork.
They do the documents up there.
Okay, and, you know, in the old, I don't know, people aren't getting them anymore, I don't know, but in the past, these conditional use permits and these that were quite common, the variance is less common because the standards are higher. And there are so many parts of the Pittsfield zoning ordinance that require conditional use permits.
We've done that before.
Yeah, we've
but
done a
this
few,
isn't-
but
This isn't a conditional use, it's really just fixing,
Well,
like
it's
you
the
said.
planning board taking a vote and giving the
Right.
person who's the
Exactly.
moving party something to record.
Right.
So we can put it in the registry of deeds, and that's all I want, is something to record.
Yeah.
Bob's gonna take care of that.
Okay.
for us.
And I will,
That's why you can pay the big bucks.
Yes.
I hope it's enough. I hope that you didn't have to
It
go
is,
and do it.
if anything I get in the registry of deeds that's approved by the planning board is going to be enough.
And that,
Really?
and you
have
only
that
need it
power, huh? All right.
for the title
The
insurance.
title insurance company says they need something from the planning board removing that restriction. And they're not
All
very
right.
fussy what.
They're gonna get it.
They're gonna get a statement.
I thank you all.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That was it under new business. Nothing else on there, Joel? Nothing else?
No.
Anybody else have anything to discuss? No? Maybe so.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Second. So I guess we're all done. Tell my wife I got promoted tonight.
You did good. Did well.
They got drafted after the fact. You can give you a call, say I'm not showing up, you gotta take over.
I almost didn't make it tonight. Had a couple things, well, actually, if I didn't make it tonight, there wasn't gonna be a meeting.
That's right. It would've-
Right, it wouldn't have been one.
So I called, as soon as I knew I could make it.
Why did the fault of this side?
Well, years ago, I had something to do with Freedom Planning Board, you know, and it was unfortunately during the summer, and they never wanted to meet, and it just, you know, they didn't have enough people show up, and I drove down to Freedom, and nobody came, postponed it another month.
We've had a couple meetings in the past that we had a meeting, but we couldn't vote because we didn't have a full quorum. But it doesn't happen too often, but tonight we're just, well, we've had a couple people resign off